Welcome to Elevate Your Business. I'm your host, Ed Jarecki, and I'm excited to lead you through to today's episode, which is aimed at motivating and empowering you as you progress on your path to business excellence. We appreciate you tuning in and incorporating this into your entrepreneurial adventure. Elevate Your Business is designed specifically for business owners, professionals, and aspiring entrepreneurs who are keen to acquire actionable knowledge and insights. In each episode, we delve into the journeys of successful individuals in both business and life, with the goal of providing you with the resources necessary for your success. Today, we're thrilled to have a transformational servant leader who has achieved 100% team retention across multiple companies, commercialized 400 products and services, and led 167 international startups. With a focus on creating value-added solutions and building high-performing teams, please join us in welcoming our award-winning content creator and business strategist, Bob Manasier. As Bob joins us on the show, we'll shed light on what success means to him personally and how his definition has evolved over time, as well as one or two of his top challenges and lessons learned associated with them. Finally, for today, we'll explore how Bob has leveraged innovation in his business and other work to overcome challenges and achieve his goals. So join me in welcoming Bob Manasier as we embark on another incredible episode of Elevate Your Business. And without further ado, Bob, it is wonderful to see you again.
Likewise, Ed.
You have an incredible background, have had an incredible journey. Could you start by sharing a little bit more about your business and yourself?
Sure, Ed. And I'll just clarify what you just said about me is fumbling my way through to success is always a model that we should all kind of grasp onto as business leaders, owners, whatever you're doing. We have to accept the failures, and I gladly and readily accept all my failures and mistakes and try to learn from each one. So my company is a white label deployed team portfolio of companies born out of a frustration with consultants, and I'm not attacking anybody's job, but from my own experience, when I was launching some of my earliest companies, I needed people that had been there and done that, not just talk me through it through theory. So I started amassing and building a group of companies really focused on being next to our clients, not above them. So we go into market with our clients, be it launch, growth, scale, or exit. So whatever they need, wherever their weakest points are, we deploy in and help them with a team, not just by giving them some advice.
Outstanding. And so from that, how do you define success today?
Getting the right team together with no ego. Obviously, in business, we need results, right? That's always has to be a success. But getting the right mix of people, getting the right process down for effective and efficient utilization of resources, and building real relationships. Because as entrepreneurs and business owners, all of our plans don't work out, but people last, right? And as you said when we first got on, my focus for my own companies is 100% retention. If I'm gonna bring somebody on, I don't want them jumping ship. I need their expertise, I need their perspective. So for me, it's always getting that team kind of mix right as success, and then it has to lead to results somewhere.
I absolutely love that. And so when you think about where you started your journey, how did you define success towards the beginning?
Getting it done as fast as possible. Pure focus early on was on revenue turnover, right? I wanted to get projects done and move on. I didn't have the retention mindset. Like, when you start, you just want more and more clients. I like a lot of my clients that have moving with me for decades. That matters to me. That's another level of success, right? Obviously, the retention of teams and people, but also having multiple projects with the same client is a true level of success. So that's morphed over time. That's part of growing up and knowing what's really important.
I love your focus around team. It's one of the areas that I think many, especially large organizations, but many small and medium sized as well, really miss in their journey is just the power, the need, the value in a team environment. And one of the questions that I always start my clients with is really twofold. What are your business goals? 5 years down the road, define the time frame, but what do you envision those to be? And then the second part of that is really the personal goals. So on that personal side, any thoughts relative to how you define success from a personal side of the equation?
It is the relationships for me. Obviously, we all have to make money. We all have to take care of our families and ourselves and the businesses. but it's the relationships that are fought, that are built and grown on real conversations, honest dialogue. I don't like adversarial relationships. If I'm going to be with a client and it's adversarial, I'll just leave. We won't engage with them because it makes no sense. I don't need to fight my clients or my staff. We have to be aligned to go forward. And when you have that alignment, even if you fail, you're going to fix it or you're going to figure out a better way of doing it and you're always going to learn. So for me, it's always about the people and the relationship and the culture. And I think going back to your point, it's really hard to find, grow, and maintain true teams because it's a lot of work, right? When you're running a team, a lot of your time is not focused on the business, it's focused on the people running the business. So it's just a lot of effort in it. And just like being in business, it never ends. You never get to a point where you don't have to take care of the team. Just like in business, we never have a solution that lasts forever. Markets change. So
And situations change, and how people need to be supported changes. But it also, and I think this aligns with what you were saying, is some of my highest highs in all my experiences come from the accomplishments with people, with teams. And so I just love that aspect of it. Any comments to that?
yeah, I mean, quite honestly, the focus on team helped us get through a lot of huge economic shifts, right? My film company that I started when I was 19 and still have the same people, and we talked about this in a previous conversation. When we all got to start raising our families, we all had a different place we wanted to live. So I had to figure out how to keep this awesome team together, but on a remote basis. And now fast forward 15 years or 10 years, and we living through COVID. We had no issues with the transfers from in-person to virtual because we had already done it. And that had morphed and kind of given me the foundation for all the other companies we were starting. Like we already had that stuff in place. So we didn't have that drastic change, that almost immediate need to change, because change is painful and it's slow and it takes buy-in, and which always takes more time. So that helped us. The focus on the team helped us get through some huge cliffs in our journey together as business partners.
So carrying that challenge conversation to the next question, what are one or two of your top challenges that you've encountered and the lessons learned associated with us?
Well, one is always staying relevant to our clients in the market, right? Markets are always shifting, clients' needs shift. Building systems that allow us to be with them instead of waiting for it to happen and then trying to catch up has always been a mainstay of what we do in any of our businesses. We like to be in the field with our clients so we can see change as it's happening too, so we can pivot to it if we need to. So that's a constant feedback loop, constant tweaking of research in person, listening to the clients, listening to the sales team, listening to BD, looking at marketing metrics, looking at the operations to make sure our customer service is aligned with what they need. So that takes up a lot of time, right? Just being that active instead of saying, here's my formula, I'm going to set it and forget it. That's never worked for us and we've never used it. The other part of it is, and to keep these wonderful people on the team energetic and passionate. Right? There's always, it's human nature, right? Sometimes we get lazy. Sometimes we take our eye off the ball, and it's keeping them motivated so that it's never dictating to them. Like I want everything to be authentic and relevant, and I want them to have ownership as we've given them, not in equity, but in the ability to change on the fly as needed, the ability to make decisions on their own. Those are, once again, a lot of work. And that's why I think sometimes trying to build a real team, sometimes they think it's taking away from what they're supposed to be doing as a business. But I will always fall back that the team makes the company. No business runs without the right team, or it won't last for long. So those would be the two biggest challenges that I think we're always facing.
And what I heard from that is really two parts. One is stay informed. Stay informed through research, understand your client, their business, their industry, understand trends that are occurring relative to your business, but relative to your client's needs and desired outcomes, right?
Yeah, and research and analysis of intel, right? We can look at the same interaction in business and have two different perspectives on it. Doesn't mean one of us is right or wrong. The magic usually happens somewhere in the middle of our perspective. So we try to build that into everything. There's the typical research that we can all do watching trend lines and so forth, but then the real interaction of customer journey and customer discovery, that takes a team effort because our perspectives are always partly biased from our own experiences.
Right.
So if we get enough of them in the room talking, we can try to figure out a cogent solution that makes sense.
And then piggybacking on that, the second item really is all around that team collaboration, collective and individual leadership, the ability to adapt, the ability to change, grow, make decisions, etc. Is that a fair way to kind of summarize that focus on the team? Anything you'd want to add to that?
Yeah, you brought up open communication, right? That's not punitive. I don't like yes people. And I say this right from the first interview. If you're going to just sit here and yes me, I don't need you because then I'm right. And I don't need to pay for somebody else. Right? So I'm always looking for the person that comes with their own perspective and can back it up. And I think you hit on a beautiful nugget for any business. And I might be jumping the gun to give some advice is if you're trying to build a team, get them to participate individually before you ever have a group discussion because group discussions are usually led by the person with the biggest title, right? As the owner, if I'm saying something, I don't want people nodding with me. I want them to shoot holes in it so I know what I'm doing wrong or where I missed. So I think doing that individual, and that's very hard for people to do. And that's one of our earliest tests to get in our company.
Well, that's
We're like,
from
what's
both
wrong with this?
sides,
Right?
right? But that's from both sides of the equation, from the personnel sitting around that table that have these thoughts and questions in their mind and having the courage to open them up and put them on the table. But at the same time, from a leadership perspective, there's not a lot of leaders out there, at least from my experience, that have that open-mindedness to where they want people to challenge their thoughts and ideas. I actually had a top executive not so many years ago make a quote, and I asked them, I said, so when you walk into a meeting, what's your approach relative to the way that conversation flows and the outcomes that come out of that? And the response was, I always know what the outcome is going to be. And if it's not what I intend, then I correct it through the conversation to get it to what I want it to be. And I actually asked that question of the same leader multiple times, and the response was consistent every single time. Now, how much trust do you think there was in that environment?
And that's part of forming a great team is losing that ego. And that starts at the top, right? I mean, from our earliest experiences, we look at titles and they're important, C-suite. But if you start kind of putting that robe on, that limits real business, real conversation, real relationships. And that's something you fight against too, because sometimes we want vanity and ego. And we want to be just like, do what I say. And you can't really have that. And that's always an internal battle, right?
A lot
Just
has
leave me
changed from the
alone.
1990s when it was 99% do as I say, not as I do kind of a mentality to today. And I'll pick up on something else you said earlier, which is you failed a lot. You learn from the failures, you keep moving forward. And my impression is that you allow your team that opportunity as well. Keep moving forward. And so my family mantra, learn from the past, keep moving forward. Is that
Absolutely. I mean, everybody should be doing that, right? Anybody who comes to me and says they've never failed, I don't want because they haven't learned anything. I
well?
haven't learned anything from my successes. I've learned everything from my failures. And if I can fail, I have to allow my team to fail. And we're all human. We make more mistakes every day than we get things right. Just ask our own families, right? Ed, wife, it doesn't matter. We're always wrong, but that's okay because that's a step toward what I'm always searching for is perfection, which, is unattainable, but
Right,
still a goal.
but we keep moving forward. We learn from the past. We keep moving forward.
And that's hard to break in people, right? Human nature is as such to get them to buy into that team model. Like you can make mistakes. You're not going to lose your job over a mistake. You're going to lose your job if you lie about it or hide it. That's a whole different conversation. But if you're making mistakes, I mean, come on. Let's be realistic here.
Love it. I love it. So moving the conversation, innovation, your business really is about leveraging the capabilities out there to enable your client's success. When I talk about innovation, it's people, process, technology wrapped in culture, an environment that allows win-win-win outcomes. What's that right balance for each organization? It may be a little bit different, but there always needs to be that balance. So when I provide that definition, what are your thoughts and how has innovation really enabled your organization?
Yeah, so we've had a film company a long time. So all my film people were trained as filmmakers. So they all have scars from getting cut by reels of film. We lived through the digital revolution, right? Huge change in the way filming was done, who had access to it. So when you say innovation and change and technology, people are afraid of change. The thing that scares me the most is when clients or my own people say, we've always done it that way. Well, that's phenomenal. What have we done that's always worked forever? I don't know, except breathe, maybe breathe and drink healthy, clean water. So that's a part of it. But you have to have a system where technology and innovation can be put in its right role. And that takes training. And that's not training where I'm dictating my people to train, which I see a lot in large organizations. The people at the top don't do the training with the people they're dictating training to. We always do it together. And then they get to see that nobody gets it right away. Nobody can. And I think making people comfortable with change is very hard, but it starts with putting yourself in the role with them, not above them. Like if I told my staff to go do training on AI and ChatGPT, I was right there next to them making probably more mistakes than they were. But that is also another action that shows that we live by what we say, right? So that's how we look at any new technology. And I'm old enough to know when websites were going to come in and change advertising forever. And all you saw was another piece of the puzzle. It didn't eradicate anything. We have them all still. It's just a different level. And I think every technology is like that. And if you're afraid of it and trying to hide from it, it's going to just run you over. So embrace it, but also put it in its proper perspective.
I love your point relative to it really needs to be top-down cascade partnership in embracing the changes that are out there. I was a total quality management consultant back in the 1990s, and it was the best approach. I was in a self-directed team, had a wonderful boss, and each one of us was assigned a segment of the organization, and that's the way we approached it. I started my consulting and my training with the very top executives. Our boss handled the president and his cabinet. And then from there, we each took one of those executive vice presidents or C-level members, started with them and their senior leadership, and then cascaded those same messages, that same approach. And I'll tell you what, the transformation was incredible. But it's extremely resource intensive. It's extremely time intensive. And so when you consider that and bringing that full circle to today, and I agree with that need to have everybody aligned. Any thoughts relative to how to apply a similar technique in an environment where you don't have the time and resource that we leveraged back in the 1990s and early 2000s?
Well, I mean, every business has finite resources, right? So regardless of how big or how small, they're all dealing with the same on a different scale, but they're still finite. We don't have unlimited money, and we never have unlimited time. So for us, we have to prioritize, and that's how our meetings are set up. If we're doing quarterly or monthly meetings, and I'm not a big meeting person, our meetings are 20, 30 minutes, come prepared, go through it and move out, right? Meetings are more about getting us set up for the future than discussing the past because we're living it every day. But we do a lot on prioritization and time management. What's the most important? And what is the goal? We measure everything. Putting results on everything help us fine tune that issue. Is this really important right now? Or can it wait? Because these are the things in front of us. We're constantly juggling that and it changes. Sometimes it changes because of external or macro forces, but
Right.
it's always something we're considering, right? It's priority and time management. Everything else, once you have the team in place, should take care of itself, right? We don't have a lot of micromanaging either, which is the other benefit of having a really unified team. I don't
So,
need to review everybody's work. I give them some carte blanche to make decisions. And if they fail, well, then we learn from them. and they're not big enough to take out the whole company. That's always, something we talk about, because I've been accused of taking some big risks that could doom the company, and I've lived with that, and we can talk about that at another time.
So,
And
and
I was
this,
right. So there, no, I'm just kidding.
so within your structure, do you define time for the collaborative learning to help the team focus on what areas in which the business and your
Yeah.
personnel need to focus on?
I also take that from the ground forces, the people on the ground. What do they need? If they need something, I want to make sure that they have it. And that's part of the job as a leader, right? Of making sure the resources allocated as they need it. And we're in constant communication. So I hear a lot of things about what they need, and sometimes it doesn't fit. We don't have the money for it. We don't have the time, but it's not something I just dismiss. Like, we can't do it. We're like, if you can lay out why, then we can try to find some time for that training. And that's the other thing, lifelong learning. That's a big thing for me. I get bored if I'm doing the same thing all the time. Most people do. To constantly have them evolve and develop as professionals is empowering, as you said before, right? We're empowering humans, people.
Now I'm going to move our conversation more to that future innovation. And of course, we know that the AI revolution, it's been around for a while. And I acknowledge that openly because there's a lot of people that'll fight back. Well, AI is not brand new. No, it's not. But the revolution in how we're applying it in today's business is a revolutionary period. And when you think about where things are going into the future, any thoughts on how that's going to impact and help drive your business?
Well, it's a great tool that we already use. It's not a full answer. It's not something where you set it and forget it and let it do all your work for you, because it misses nuance. Every business owner or leader has to be an expert in their business, which puts them above what AI can collect. Not that AI has to be wrong, but you, as the leader, manager in the field with the company or with your clients, you have certain nuances that it'll never pick up. And that's where critical thinking really comes into place as a human. If you want to be relevant, own the space that you sit in your business. Know how those customers engage you. What are their issues? So that you can prepare and plan. We use AI to create themes, to create lists, but then we're fine tuning those based on our own perspective, our own research, and what our clients need. So for us, it's just another tool. Going back to that, so when it started becoming ubiquitous and everybody was talking about it, we did some group trainings. So it wasn't so unnatural, or it wasn't so foreign, because people are afraid of change. So if we incorporated it early enough to enjoy it, use it for what it's used for, but also it doesn't diminish what we do every day of our lives.
Outstanding. You provided a great number of golden nuggets that business owners and entrepreneurs really should consider. If you were to provide them one takeaway that they really must consider, what would that be?
Allow, and I said this before on this conversation, is allow dissent. Allow people to push back. Allow people to take a stand against you. And that really matters to smaller companies. You don't live there in the chaos. You don't live there in the difference, right? It allows a conversation. It allows people to take ownership, even if they don't own the company, right? Because everybody wants to be respected. Everybody wants to be heard. But allow that and have real meaningful dialogue around it. Don't just dismiss it out of hand. And I don't care who that is. That could be the newest intern to the most seasoned second in command. Allow that conversation, but also have a structure where once a decision is made, everybody gets online.
There you go. Love
And
it.
that's the key. I think that's the problem. I see a lot of younger companies loving the brainstorm, but that's all they live in. They never make a decision because it might hurt somebody's feelings, or they don't want to make someone mad. Well, it's not about making it mad. It's making the right decision for the future of the company. And if you're all aligned with a goal, then everybody should fall into place.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Any final thoughts?
I don't know. You tell me, Ed. I hope I didn't bore your audience. That's all.
No, this is absolutely outstanding. Like I said, there's been a great number of golden nuggets that come out of this. And for our audience, I hope that you've taken some of these and their reinforcements and maybe some ways in which you can avoid future mistakes through some of this feedback. So
Thank you, Ed.
I want to thank you all for joining us, and a special thank you to our incredible guest, Bob Manasier, for sharing his thoughts, experiences, and success tactics with us. We hope the conversation has left you inspired and motivated to embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship with vigor, innovation, and adaptability. Remember, success comes in many forms, and it's essential to define it for yourself. But take the lessons shared by Bob to heart as you navigate your own entrepreneurial journey. Embrace change, seek out opportunities for growth, and always be willing to adapt to the ever-evolving landscape of business. Thank you once again to our phenomenal guest speaker, Bob Manasier, and thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time as we continue exploring the stories behind incredible entrepreneurs. Stay resilient and stay innovative, and have a wonderful day, everybody.